Hello everyone, Argyle Litigator here. Get it? It's a law joke and this is a video. Anyways, there's a lot of things going on about YouTube drama, people complaining about drama, people complaining about the people complaining about drama, so on and so forth. And I'm not ignorant to this drama or anything like that, neither am I going to weigh in on the drama per se, but having a legal background, I decided to weigh in on something that was particularly interesting to me, and I'd like to discuss it further. And that's the issue of defamation. If you don't know what defamation is, it's the action of damaging the good reputation of someone through slander or libel. Slander is just spoken word, and libel is written word. That's all they mean. So defamation is an action you can bring if somebody's basically talking shit about you. And you're probably thinking to yourself at this point, wait a minute, I live in America, if you do, and I have the First Amendment, which entitles me to freedom of speech. Yes, you do have the freedom of speech, and the government cannot restrict the content of your speech without a really, really good reason. But however, you are liable for the things you say. The speaker is liable for their own speech. So a defamation action can be brought in court against you if you're talking shit about somebody. But there are elements that need to be met for defamation. Now, defamation more or less has several parts to it. I can only speak from what I've learned according to Florida laws and what my law school has taught me, so if this is inconsistent with what you know or what your country knows, or your state even, I can't really speak on that. I'm just speaking from my perspective and what I know. So bear with me if it's inconsistent with anything like that. Now, defamation is broken down in 7 elements. First, you need a statement of fact, as opposed to opinion. You're basically stating something as a fact. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a fact, you're just stating it as. Also, it can't be an opinion. You can't say, oh, this guy's content is crap, or I think this guy's an asshole. That doesn't hold up. Those are statements of opinion, and you're entitled to opinions. 2, you need a defamatory effect from the statement. That means something bad came from the statement you said. 3, identification of the plaintiff as the subject. The plaintiff is the person who brings forth the claim, and they need to be the subject matter of the statement. 4, publication to a third party. 5, compensable damages to the plaintiff. That means that the plaintiff can take monetary damages from the defamatory statement. 6, the statement is false. And 7, the defendant will be at fault. If you're thinking right after I said this, Argyle, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything about law, none of this makes sense to me, don't worry, I'm going to apply it to modern examples that are relevant, and I hope it'll make a little bit more sense. Now, example number 1, let's do Lionmaker versus Keemstar. So in the case of Maker versus Keemstar, Keemstar has made a statement, more or less, that he's a pedophile, and there's probably some other claims in there too, but we're just going to tackle the first one. Now, I'm not agreeing with any side, and I'm not here to determine the validity of that statement. I'm just applying it to defamation because I think the defamation claims are relevant to YouTube drama, and I'm here to explain that. So first, there's a statement of fact. He said he was a pedophile. That's a statement of fact. That's not his opinion. 2, a defamatory effect from the statement. Lionmaker has lost subscribers. I'm sure he's lost views. He's gotten hateful comments. There's a whole bunch of things that you can list from this. 3, identification of the plaintiff as the subject. Lionmaker's obviously the subject of the statement. 4, publication to a third party. Now, the video documentation of him making the statement is published to YouTube. YouTube is the third party, and that would satisfy the publication. 5, compensable damages. Lionmaker could probably claim real monetary damages from this statement. He's lost views, he's lost subs, he's gotten downvotes, and all of this can be calculated to money through YouTube's ad revenue system. Views and subscribers and all of this equal money in YouTube, so all of this can be compensatory damages. 6, the falsity of the statement. Like I said, I'm not here to argue the validity of that, and that would determine this whole case. If the statement is really false, then there is a case for defamation. If not, there's really no case for defamation. It's a huge element. And then 7, the defendant being at fault, Keemstar would be the one at fault because he's the one who said the claim. Now, the 6th element is the biggest one. The falsity of the statement. That really brings it home. The statement's gotta be false for the defamation claim. Now, if this statement really isn't false, why hasn't Lionmaker brought a claim of defamation? Now, there's a couple reasons for that. 1, litigation is expensive. 2, it can be really messy and super time-consuming. And 3, there's a jurisdictional issue. Now, I'm not really well-versed in civil procedure, but jurisdiction is more or less who can hear the case and who can rule over it. There's an issue at hand here because I believe Lionmaker is from Canada and Keemstar is from the US. So when you're trying to deal with foreign claims over foreign borders, it gets kind of messy. The only things I know that are going for the case is that you can say the injury happened in America, and when I say America, I mean the US, because YouTube is a US company and that's where it was published. So the claim can probably be heard in the US. Now, I might be wrong, I'm not the best at civil procedure, but from my knowledge, that's what I think would happen. So it kind of opens up the discussion if this claim is really false, and if the claim can be heard in the US because the injury technically happened in the US, why hasn't Lionmaker brought a claim of defamation against Keemstar? Now, there's probably a myriad of reasons that more than I've already mentioned for not doing this, but it just opens up the discussion to really think about it from a different angle. Let's do a more modern example now, in the case of Matthew Santoro versus Grade A Under A. Let's call it Santoro versus Under A. So in this case, it would be the same 7 elements applied. Grade A made a statement of fact against Matthew Santoro. He said he was a plagiarist. It had a defamatory effect. He's losing subscribers, he's getting hateful comments, probably losing views. Identification of the plaintiff as the subject. Matthew Santoro is the subject of the statement. Publication to a third party, YouTube. Compensable damages. He can probably claim from these lost subs, lost views, all this kind of stuff that there is money being lost here. Falsity of the statement, we really don't know. I'm not one to judge on that. And then requisite fault by the defendant. Grade A would obviously be at fault because he's the one who said it. But here's the thing, there's another jurisdictional issue. Grade A lives in the UK. Matthew Santoro, I assume, lives in the US or Canada. I'm not particularly sure. But there's an issue here. I don't know if Canada has laws for defamation. I don't know if the UK has laws for defamation. I only know that the US does. So there's an issue here about this claim. It's just, I wanted to kind of clear the air and explain this point that all this slander is being thrown around in YouTube drama. Everything is just spoken word drama. And people say, oh, it's defamation, oh, it's slander, oh, it's libel. But you gotta think of the elements being applied, and you gotta think of where this case can be heard. YouTube is a US company, so there's probably an argument there that this could be heard in the US, but at the same time, it's the internet. Who really knows where this jurisdiction holds? Internet law is very new and not really solidified. And a lot of our laws in the US are not up to standards for this new medium. So we don't really know where this stuff can be heard and where these claims can be brought. But it opens up a discussion that's kind of interesting. And that is, if these statements, through the YouTube drama, if they are false and if this is defamation, stuff that's made against Basher, Lionmaker, Toby Turner, freaking anybody who's been in this drama, if they haven't brought a case of defamation or at least tried to bring forth a case, does it prove the fact that these statements are in fact not false? It might. I'm not saying it does, but I think it opens up an interesting discussion. I think the most telling out of all of these YouTube drama potential claims would be Toby Turner's, because both parties would be in the US. As far as I know, April F. and Toby Turner are both US citizens. She publicized it to a third party by putting it on Tumblr. There's definitely defamation here. There'd be an effect, I mean. His toys were pulled off the website. He's lost subscribers, hateful comments, all that kind of stuff, lost views, whatever. And the biggest thing is he has the money for litigation. I know that man is banking. He's got 3 channels that are in the millions each. Like, he's got money to bring a claim. He knows who the person is. It really brings home the fact, if this statement is false, why hasn't he brought a claim? He's the one that has the biggest potential for the claim. They're both in the US. The US can hear it. All the elements for defamation are there. He has the money for litigation. I'm not saying that the statement is false or it's true based on him bringing forth the claim, but I think it really makes you think, why not do it? He has all the pieces. Why not just go ahead and make the move? And lawsuits throughout the history of the US have made statements and they've created standards. Why doesn't he create a standard against slander like this by making the defamation claim? It seems like all the elements are there for him to do it, but he hasn't done it. But at the same time, we don't know if he has or not. We don't know if he's talking to his lawyers. We don't know if they've made the claim. We don't know if they filed it yet. If he has, that says volumes. Because I think the law speaks volumes. I might be biased because it's what I study and it's what my profession will most likely be. But I think it says a lot when you bring a claim and you win a claim. I think it says a lot. So that was all I really wanted to say on that point. I think it just puts an interesting angle on this whole mess. YouTube drama can be interesting. It has its merits. I mean, I get wrapped up in the drama mess too. I'm not going around and spreading hateful comments towards anybody, but I understand the appeal of it. But I just wanted to speak on it from a real life example that can be applied through the point of view that I know. Once again, if these rules do not apply to your country or your state, I don't know. I can only speak from the perspective of Florida and from the things that I'm taught at my law school. If I've stated any incorrect things about the claim of defamation or civil procedure in the US, I apologize. I am studying for finals, so my head is a bit jumbled with all the things that I'm trying to memorize. But I was recently studying for torts, and this was something that dawned on me, and I think it is relevant to current events that are happening in the YouTube community. So that's all I wanted to talk about. Thanks, guys, for listening. I hope you found this was interesting, and I hope you all have a good day.